There's someone watching you, but it's not just any look. It's as if every step you take is being analyzed, as if you were a puzzle waiting to be solved. The distance this person keeps is not by chance. It's fear, hesitation, the doubt of someone who wants to get closer but doesn't know how. They are looking for signals, a gesture, a look, anything that says, "It's okay, you can come closer." But at the same time, they weigh the risks. What if they are not well received? What if it's not the right time? Do you notice? It's in your hands. A simple act of yours can open the door to something that this person might have been waiting for a long time. Your movements are followed with an almost palpable intensity. It's impossible not to notice. This person's silence speaks louder than 1,000 words, carrying with it a whirlwind of emotions that perhaps even they don't know how to explain. Have you ever felt that? That moment when something seems about to happen, but is still stuck on the threshold between desire and action. Their dilemma is clear. They want to get closer, but there's a fear that paralyzes them. It could be the fear of rejection, of appearing vulnerable, or simply not finding the right words. It's as if every step towards you requires a courage that they've not yet managed to gather. Don't be mistaken. It's not a lack of interest. On the contrary, it's precisely the weight of interest that makes this so difficult for them. Do you know what can change everything? A signal. Something that breaks this invisible barrier and makes them understand that they have room to get closer. Sometimes it's a light smile, a gesture of kindness, or even a look that says, "I see you, and it's okay." The question is, do you want them to get closer? Because if you do, you need to do something too. Staying silent might only prolong this impasse. What if she continues standing there, observing? Maybe she is trying to muster up courage, or perhaps she is waiting for something that will assure her it won't be in vain. Because deep down, what we all want is a minimum level of certainty, a safe harbor from which to launch ourselves into the unknown. But think about this. What if that person decides that it's better to give up? Not for lack of interest, but because of not feeling she has permission to move forward. Is it worth letting this slip away? Because sometimes what seems to us like insignificant hesitation can be the last chance for something really good to start. Now, stop and reflect. There are so many ways to encourage someone without saying a word. A gesture from you can make the difference between creating a connection or losing that opportunity forever. Deep down, you already know if you want her to come closer. So, why not take a small step too? After all, life is made up of these silent choices that, without warning, change everything. While she is there thinking and rethinking, you have the power to decide how this story will continue. Will you let her remain in uncertainty, or will you reach out, even if in a subtle way? This is the moment. Not tomorrow, not later. Now. Because the doubt that accompanies you is the same that consumes her. What if? What if it works out? What if it is something you didn't even know you needed, but that could transform your path? That's what's at stake. Not a casual meeting, but a real possibility, something that is only built when two people decide, even if by instinct, that it's worth trying. The choice is yours. She has already done enough by standing there, waiting, observing, gathering courage. Now it is up to you to decide if this is going to be the start of something, or just a story that never got past the first chapter. Do not be mistaken. Her hesitation is as human as yours. This fear that you both share is the same that often prevents us from achieving what we want. But you can change that now, with a gesture, a word, or even a simple change in attitude. Because sometimes, what seems small to us is gigantic for those on the other side. And if all this seems complicated, remember, no one is asking you to solve everything all at once. One step at a time is enough to build something meaningful. So what are you going to do? Wait for her to take the initiative, or show that you are also willing to take a risk? Time is passing, and each second of silence is a choice to keep everything as it is, or to make room for something new to enter your life. This person who watches you is not there by chance. There is something that made her stop, that made her look at you and ask herself, is it worth it? You already know the answer, but she needs to hear it, feel it, perceive it in some way. Are you ready for this? It doesn't have to be perfect, it just has to be real, because in the end, what matters is not the way things start, but the fact that someone had the courage to take the first step, and today, that someone could be you. Now look around, notice the signs. This person is not just waiting for you. She is waiting for a reason to believe she is not alone in this desire. You can be that reason. The decision is yours and the moment is now. While you think, she remains there. Not in an obvious way, but constant. The kind of presence that does not invade, but also does not disappear. She watches, analyzes, waits. Not out of impatience, but out of insecurity. Of course she is interested. What holds her back is not a lack of willingness, but the fear of making a wrong move. Can you imagine what goes through her mind? Each second she hesitates is filled with questions. What if I approach and get rejected? What if I'm misunderstood? What if it's not the right moment? These doubts weigh heavily, holding her in place as if there were an invisible barrier. And meanwhile, you move on. Perhaps not noticing, maybe pretending not to know, but deep down, feeling that something is happening. If she has come this far, kept her eyes on you for so long, it's because something very strong is pulling her. It's not just curiosity, it's something deeper, something she might not yet know how to name. And you? What do you feel? Are you really willing to let this pass without even trying? Because see, the issue here is not just about her, it's about you too. About what you want, about what you are willing to do to get out of inertia and transform this silent exchange into something real. It doesn't need to be grand, it doesn't need to be definitive. A simple gesture, a simple moment of openness is enough to change the direction of it all. Maybe you don't realize it, but what you do now can mark the beginning of something beyond what you imagine. Because the sincerest connections are born like this, in the unexpected, in the small, in the simple act of reaching out. Have you ever stopped to think that at this moment she's looking for a sign? Something that says, yes, I am willing to see where this leads. But be careful. Silence also communicates. If you don't give any indication, no matter how small, she might interpret that as an answer. And not the answer you want, because no one waits forever. Her fear of being rejected is as real as her desire to get closer. Without a clear path, she might decide that it is better to step back. And here is the truth. If she leaves, you may never know what could have been. Because regret doesn't come from the failed attempt. It comes from the chances we let slip by. And this is a real chance. Not a superficial encounter, but an opportunity to build something true. You know what to do. Deep down you already know. Because this situation isn't new. You've been in moments like this before. The difference now is that you have the power to decide the direction this will take. It's not about being bold or taking unnecessary risks. It's about being human. Showing that you are also open, also curious, also willing to try. Think about it. Each person carries a story, a set of experiences that shape their actions and reactions. What brought her here? What makes her hesitate? You don't need to have all the answers now, but you can be the person who gives her the space to find out. And who knows what can come from that? Life is made of these moments. Small, subtle, but full of meaning. Moments where we have the chance to change the narrative, to break the pattern, to open ourselves up to something new. And the decision is yours. Will you continue to ignore the signs? Or will you do something that maybe, just maybe, changes everything for both of you? The weight of the choice is undeniable, but don't let it paralyze you. Because what's at stake is not just a meeting or a conversation. It's the possibility of discovering something that, until now, you didn't even know you were looking for. And if that's not reason enough to act, then what is? This person is giving you a rare opportunity, an opening, albeit a shy one, to something bigger. Are you going to keep her waiting longer? Will you let her hesitation find an echo in your own uncertainty? Or will you finally take a step forward and show that you are also willing to take a risk? The choice is yours. The moment is now. She has already done enough by staying there, watching, waiting, gathering courage. Now it's your turn to decide how this story will continue. There are no guarantees, of course, but there is something even more important, the possibility. And that, my friend, only happens when someone has enough courage to say, in one way or another, I see you, and it's okay. She is still there. Even without moving, even without any clear gesture, she is present with the full strength of someone fighting their own fears. Do you realize what this means? It's not just about you or about how she feels. It's about a connection that is there, waiting to be recognized, to be validated. Every second you hesitate, is another layer of uncertainty that forms between you. It's as if the distance is expanding, not physically but emotionally. Have you ever wondered what she really expects? Maybe she is not asking you to do something grand, but just to give an opening, a chance for her to believe that it is worth taking the next step. She is not trying to get attention in an obvious way. She is not the type of person who screams to be noticed. What she does is much more subtle, much more intense, and that perhaps is the hardest to notice. She is investing everything she can in that silence loaded with expectation. What are you going to do with that? Because you see, everyone has their limits. No matter how interested she is, no matter how much she wants to get closer, the fear of being unreciprocated can be stronger, and eventually she may decide that she has waited long enough. And if that happens, the question that will remain for you will be inevitable. Why didn't I do something? Now I want you to visualize this moment. She is there, waiting. You feel her gaze, even though you try to pretend you don't. There is a tension in the air, something that you both know is present, but neither of you has had the courage to address. This can't go on indefinitely. At some point, someone needs to take the initiative. Why not you? I'm not saying that you should carry the weight of all expectations. It's not about that. But there is something powerful in being the one who breaks the pattern, who breaks the silence, who turns hesitation into action. And it doesn't need to be complicated. It doesn't need to be perfect. It just needs to be real. Maybe it's a smile, maybe it's a casual word, maybe it's a simple gesture, but one that says enough, that says, I see you, and I'm not ignoring what's happening here. It could be all she needs to take the next step, and at the same time, it could be all you need to discover something new. And if you don't do it, well, the truth is that opportunity doesn't wait forever. She is there now, but she won't be forever. People get tired, moments pass, and what could have been a beginning turns into another what-if story. Do you want to carry that? Do you want to look back and wonder what could have happened if you had acted? Think about it. It's not about taking absurd risks or forcing something that doesn't make sense. It's about recognizing what's right in front of you. Accepting that sometimes life gives us a chance, and it's up to us to decide what to do with it. You can choose to let it pass, or you can choose to do something. The choice is yours. Now look again. She is there. She is still waiting. And despite all doubts, she still believes there is a possibility. Don't let silence be the end of this story. Do something, anything, because in the end it's not about what she expects or what you fear. It's about what both of you can build together if you both have enough courage to try. And yes, I know this can seem difficult. It can seem risky. But the truth is, the best things in life almost always involve some type of risk. And this one specifically seems worth it, don't you think? She has already taken the first step, even if it was small, even if it was silent. Now it's your turn. Don't hide behind doubts. Don't protect yourself with excuses. Just do what needs to be done. And see what happens, because deep down you already know, you already feel it. This is not just another casual interaction. This has the potential to be something bigger, something meaningful, something that can truly change the course of everything. So, what are you waiting for? She is still there, waiting. Not in an obvious way, but with that silent persistence that only those who really care demonstrate. The choice is in your hands now. Are you going to keep pretending you don't notice? Or are you going to give a sign that you're willing to discover what might arise from this connection? It doesn't need to be something big. It doesn't need to be perfect. Sometimes a simple gesture can change everything. A smile, a word, a look that says, "It's okay, I want to understand this too," to stand. Because in the end, the regret doesn't come from trying and failing, but from letting slip what could have been. If you've come this far, you know it's not by chance. Life places us in these decisive moments, and no matter how small they seem, they can mark a new beginning. So what are you going to do? Are you going to wait for time to erase this opportunity? Or are you going to be the person who decides to step out of silence and act? If you have also experienced something like this or feel that it might be for you, share in the comments. I want to know how you see these moments and how you chose to deal with them. And before you go, leave your like and subscribe to the channel to keep following content like this. Your participation is what motivates us to bring reflections that make a difference. Let's go together on this journey.